Good viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. in Douala, and it's time for the news. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. Our major stories this evening: bloodshed among couples has become an order of the day. Lately, in most parts of Cameroon, the most recent is that of a man who sliced almost in two pieces, inflicting fatal matched wounds on his companion or ex-companion at the CCC neighborhood in Douala that was yesterday. Earlier this week, another man shot his wife to death in Kribi, plus another woman who was killed by her husband in Puma. How can we explain that those we profess love to can finally become our assassins? We will speak with a specialist in this news edition. Plus, the government of Cameroon, through the Ministry of Defense, attests that the late combatant Anise Kane died a natural death. That information was disclosed today after an autopsy had been carried out by the state, and it comes one day after the corpse of Anise Kane is to be handed over to the family for burial preparations. Viewers, those are our stories. Welcome back, viewers. Thank you so much for always being there. We begin this edition in Bamenda. Firefighters in Cameroon's northwest region say they face major obstacles that rose on Monday after poor roads and weak urban planning slowed efforts to contain a fire incident in Bamenda's Old Town neighborhood, leading to a two-apartment building damaged, families left homeless. Details with Mustela in Bamenda.
This army rescue vehicle was rushing to a fire emergency at the Old Town neighborhood before it became stuck at this narrow culvert just meters away from a burning residential building. The intervention team had been responding to reports of a two-apartment home in flames since early this Monday morning, but poor access roads and overcrowded housing made it difficult for emergency services to reach the scene. By the time the firefighters reached the site, the two apartments had been engulfed by flames. The fire left at least two families homeless, destroying household belongings, furniture and personal documents.
We're there for months since Ramadan this. So all of a sudden, somebody called me. Said my house is on fire. I want to come out from months. I see smoke where they come out from the house. So I come down for the place. And for the site now, I can't see say true that my house is burnt. So I feel very, very worried.
The Army Rescue Team says it acted quickly after receiving the alert, but poor town planning and deteriorating infrastructure slowed their response.
Coming here wasn't all that easy because the entrance to this compound is not accessible. So we had, with the help of the population, that come and help us in order to push our car so that we come out from that gutter.
Rescue officials praised residents for their courage in trying to contain the fire, but stressed that early reporting remains critical. No lives were lost, but those affected are members of the Muslim community currently observing the holy month of Ramadan. Firefighters say the incident highlights the growing risks posed by poor urban planning and weak infrastructure in the fast-expanding city of Bamenda.
Now let's talk agriculture. In the fertile plains of the Mongo division in the littoral region, pineapple cultivation, once a profitable lifeline for hundreds of families, is fast turning into a struggle for survival to many. Farmers say the drop in prices, poor or dilapidated farm-to-market roads, rising input costs, and the absence of a fruit processing industry have left them counting heavy losses on a daily basis, with many now selling their products at giveaway prices. Innocent Aze takes us to the Mongo division.
Pineapple cultivation is a major agricultural activity practiced in the Mongo division of the littoral region by many families for livelihoods. Like any other activity with challenges, cultivators lament that pineapple cultivation is no longer profitable like in the past.
Le commerce de ça ne donne plus
At first, we sold a pineapple for 200, 300 and 500 francs, but today we sell for 150 francs and at times 100 francs, whereas we spent at least 50,000 francs CFA and above to buy inputs and pesticides.
Un fruit qu'on vendait à 400, 300 pour s'en sortir pour ce produit, on vend les mêmes fruits à 100 francs.
25, 50, si tu ne vas pas verser 50, tu vas faire quoi avec? Est-ce que tu vas faire la boîte avec?
On les vend aujourd'hui à 200, on ne parvient pas à s'en sortir, mais c'est juste que quand on a commencé, on va finir. Les produits coûtent excessivement très cher.
Another disturbing situation is that buyers are few and the harvested fruits get bad when they are not quickly sold, thus leaving cultivators with no choice than selling them at a giveaway price.
Tu obéis les valeurs pour si c'est que tu as perdu, mais tu préfères récupérer un peu, même la moitié de ton argent.
J'ai vu qu'il y aura les usines.
They are wishing they had a fruit juice processing industry in the Mungo division, where they could sell all their pineapples without incurring a huge loss.
Parfois, même quand tu viens au champ, les autres ananas sont déjà tous pourris parce que les usines qu'on avait préféré faire, on a tant fatigué, ça ne vient pas.
Even wholesalers and bayam-selams advance reasons why they cannot buy at exorbitant cost from the cultivators.
Le marché, le prix, d'abord ne donne pas, puisque les planteurs pleurent les engrais ne laissent pas.
That they spend a lot on transportation over the deplorable farm to market roads. Due to the cratered roads, some of the pineapples get bad on the way. If they had to buy expensively, they would not be able to recover their capital.
Là-bas, quand il y a déjà les casses, tu es déjà en train de perdre.
Il y a parmi nous ceux qui ont perdu plus de 3 millions sur les ananas. Moi qui je suis victime, au moins les 2 millions que j'ai perdu. J'ai acheté, je m'en sors pas.
A transporter admits they charge bayam-selams high fares because of the state of the roads that damage their vehicles and the existence of multiple checkpoints on the Limbe roads, for instance, and the payment of toll gate fees.
Le carburant est devenu cher à ce que nous sommes partis de 3 000 francs à 7 000 francs. Jusqu'ici, on ne s'en sort pas parce que à peine sorti, on coupe les pneus en route.
As bayam-selams and transporters shy away from incurring losses, the weight rests on the heads of the cultivators, among them youth, who say are unable to survive despite encouragement from the head of state to invest in agriculture.
Nous avons la plus lourde difficulté dans cette culture.
They implore the state to fulfill its pledge to assist this agricultural thrive.
Que s'ils envoient des jeunes à s'engager dans la culture, dans l'agriculture en fait, qui nous trouvent des moyens.
Among numerous expectations, these pineapple cultivators implore the construction of a processing industry in the Mungo.
Si le gouvernement peut nous aider même à créer des usines de transformation, ça peut nous alléger la tâche.
Les planteurs souffrent, qui construisent les industries avec l'argent qui vole là, qui les mettent en prison, mettez-les dehors. Ils remboursent l'argent là, ils construisent les industries pour aider aussi les planteurs pour que les planteurs se développent.
Rehabilitation of farm to market roads and others so that their efforts are not washed into the drain.
Courage to those parents. Over 2,000 Nigerian refugees have voluntarily returned to fatherland Cameroon during a ceremony that was organized by the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees in Marwa. The over 2,000 refugees were told to stay away from trouble. After spending more than 2 years in Cameroon, the repatriation of the refugees was done or took place in the presence of a Nigerian official and Cameroon, which was represented by the governor of the Far North region. Smalji Kangibiru compiles more in this report.
There were 3,122 Nigerian refugees who left Cameroon to their country of origin. Before their departure, they were lodged at the Minawawo camp in the Mayochanaga division of the Far North region. The women, men, and children, before leaving their host nation, expressed their gratitude and were also received by the governor of the Far North region. A contingent of the Nigerian refugees who have been here since 2013 in the Minawawo camp. We had a tripartite agreement between the Human Rights Commission, Cameroon and Nigeria which gave way for voluntary repatriation. For the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the voluntary repatriation is a success because none of the refugees was forced out of their host nation, Cameroon.
First of all, I would like to thank the government of Cameroon, the government of Nigeria for this successful repatriation. Your Excellency, I would like to say thank you for hosting these refugees for more than a decade. My recommendation is that as they go home, of course, we'll continue to monitor. UNHCR is in the other side, in Maiduguri, to welcome them and work on their reintegration. So we wish them well and we wish them to contribute to the peace in their country so that more will follow.
At the other end, it was total mobilization put up by the Nigerian government to welcome home the refugees returning from Cameroon, as they had already prepared a modern furnished apartment for each refugee with water as well as electricity installed. The warm reception by the state and federal government of Nigeria overwhelmed the beneficiaries, who also received reinstallation kits, with each family head giving a financial assistance.
Anybody coming into these houses, His Excellency Professor Babagana Umara Zulum has given every head of household 100,000 naira, every wife 20,000 naira, in addition to these items you see. The federal government of Nigeria, through the Refugee Commission, has given 1 bag of rice, 1 bag of maize, 1 bag of millet, 5 liter of oil, while the state government still gave 1 mattress and 1 wrapper to every woman. These items you see here is a collaboration between the federal and the state. When farm comes, they will be given farmlands. They will farm, and they are expected to do commerce, buying and selling, because border is a resource. This is a border with Cameroon, so they can buy and sell. You could see every facility is functional. Hospital, schools, roads, everything is functional. This is a fully settled town since 2019.
The local administration had signaled attempts of fraud, with some individuals trying to fake themselves to be refugees just to benefit from the goodies. Reasons: each refugee has to go through a fingerprint identification for transparency purpose.
All they should be honest. Since they have come here, the refugee status has gone. So let them be normal people within their country and be good citizens. Let them go and engage in productive activity. They shouldn't exploit this process by going back to Binawawu, re-register again, come back again, like some of them are doing.
In a whole, this fit phase has seen a total of 3,122 refugees installed in Borno State of Nigeria.
After the release of the corpse of political leader Nisei Kane, who died some months back, preparations for his funeral are well on track at the moment. The fact that his corpse was held for months had constituted a major hindrance. Babila Jonathan spoke with some political and biological family members, and he now reports.
Pressure for the release of the mortal remains of Nisei Kane, a prominent Cameroonian opposition leader, continued piling on the government following his death December 1, 2025. After he died in military custody, his family, political allies, and international organizations demanded the return of his body for burial, describing its retention as a confiscation by state authorities.
My Union Party was intended to organize a popular mobilization, bring together all Cameroonians for us to really push the government to give us the corpse, the remains of Nisei Kane. It seems that they were aware and they have decided to put at disposal this corpse. So we do appreciate what happened, but we know that it's the mobilization of Cameroonians, of political leaders, that have pushed them to do so.
News of the release of the corpse has opened the way to further steps to the funeral of the president of the African Movement for New Independence and Democracy, Manidem. Within the party, efforts are being made to make Nisei Kane's funeral as inclusive as possible by considering the thoughts and opinions of all Cameroonians.
Many things have been done before, but it was very difficult for us to really put in some dates and even validate some activities that will be organized. Now that the cost has been put at our disposal, we believe that we multiply some other meetings to really come out with the final decisions. But as I earlier said, we would like to put together all Cameroonians. Many Cameroonians are mobilized, and we believe that they should also contribute, give their own ideas on the victim burial that Anise Kane deserve.
Tired of the fight for the corpse of their son, brother, father and husband, the biological family of Anise Kane turned down our request to comment on the release of his corpse. One of his siblings told us that their only focus now.
Meantime, we got information a while ago that according to the result of the autopsy which has been made public by the Ministry of Defense, Anise Kane died a natural death. That is according to the Ministry of Defense. Sure, we will be giving you details of that autopsy result in subsequent news editions. In culture, the people of Pondo Balue, we are in the Ndan division, now have a new chief. The locality situated in the Ndan in the southwest for the past years have been without a traditional ruler to handle affairs of the village. For this reason, Chief Robert Mukube was presently installed by local and administrative authorities not only to improve upon the development of the area but also to fight the growing rates of insecurity. Mala Glory reports on the installation ceremony.
We are in Pondo Balue, a village situated in the Kondo Titi subdivision, Dian division in the southwest region of Cameroon. The locality for the past years have experienced significant challenges related to the ongoing armed conflict in the English-speaking regions of the country, a situation that has further worsened due to the absence of a traditional ruler.
Since the death of the chief, they have managed this village through the regent and through the women's leaders and the men leaders and other elites. And I think with all those qualities, the chief will have the full support of these people, and I think you'll be successful in this mission, that of peace, that of development, and that of bringing the people together, united to fight against any ill in the village.
In order to resolve these challenges, a chief was recently installed by the divisional officer of Kondo Titi.
Nigel Bernard Modi present Mr. Mukube Robot as a chief of Pondo village.
This is the person you found what you mean. Do you accept him as your chief? Yes. Are you ready to work with him? Yes. Pondo ahead?
The people of Pondo Balue expressed joy and hope with the new enthroned chief, Robert Mukube.
The recognition and nomination of our new His Royal Highness Chief Mukube Sumba Robert has taken place peacefully, despite the little challenges that were trying to come.
We are very happy with what has taken place here because we have a similar challenge which we are working towards that, and we are proud of the Pondo people. We are all Balue. We are just next neighbor to you people, and if you people can meet up with such a feat, then we are sure Balue is moving forward. Congratulations to the newly installed chief of Pondo Balue.
Present at the event were elites, traditional rulers and administrative authorities who promised to work together with the new chief for the betterment of the people.
You are subject under you, and you being the chief, you should embrace us.
The event was graced with beautiful traditional dances of the Pondo Balue.
Courage there to Chief Robert Mukube. Now over to this lead story, viewers. Bloodshed among couples, we told you in the headlines, has been an order of the day lately in most parts of Cameroon. The most recent is that of a man who almost sliced in two pieces, inflicted fatal machete wounds on his companion or ex-companion that was at the Sese neighborhood in Douala, and the local inhabitants are still to come out of that shock. Immaculate Fogwe went back to the scene of that crime. She now tells us more in this report.
Namani Mbang, a 40-year-old woman, fled her home in Brazzaville with her 3 children on December 22, 2025, seeking refuge in Douala's Carrefour Sese neighborhood. She was escaping domestic violence at the hands of a spouse who had made her life unbearable. Tragically, her husband tracked her down and followed her to a École Privée Bilingue La Lumière, where he brutally attacked her. The violent assault left Namani dead and her sister injured as she tried to intervene.
It's 2 months today this man has not let this lady to rest, and it's 2 years that the lady has been suffering. Feeding the children alone, feeding the home alone, it's not possible. Just to go and you come behind her, meet her and the junior sister. Started with the junior sister, cutting her behind her back with a cutlass, sharpened 2 sides. From there, when the lady left and was running away, she left the junior one following behind her. She ran to save her life. You caught her. Cut her as if you're cutting butch meat.
The victim's sister reveals that Namani had endured daily abuse and living was her only escape. To provide for her children, she had turned to petty trading, selling underwears few meters away from her home. She was left to suffer during her pregnancy with no support from her husband. I had to step in, using my own money to get her to the hospital. The problems at home were endless, and he refused to take responsibility or admit wrongdoing. Despite numerous family meetings and disputes, his behavior didn't change. He just kept threatening her. It got to the point where she knew she had to leave for her own safety. Neighbors are outraged by the barbaric act and are calling for the alleged murderer to be held accountable. The suspect, who was rescued by gendarmes from an angry mob, is currently being detained at the Lokbaba Territorial Gendarmerie Brigade.
Please, dear Minister of Women Affairs, get up. Women are suffering in their homes. In the name of marriage, we're tired. We're tired. We're seeing this on daily basis. We're living it in our homes. It's not possible. We're tired. Your family has eaten. You are my property. Has a woman become a treasure they buy in the market? Minister of Women Affairs, please. We are counting on you. Please, you were supposed to be here. You were supposed to be at CCC today.
Namani leaves behind 3 children aged 2, 7, and 19 years old who have to grow up without their mother's love and care. The school where the incident occurred has since been cleaned and purified, but the memory of the tragedy remains.
Sad indeed. Hopefully justice takes its course this time around. Let's now have our foreign page roundup with Lo Maero.
Extraordinary security meeting on Monday, February 23rd, the Chadian government announced a strict and immediate closure of the borders with Sudan. According to the Minister of Communication, this decision was made after a repeated incursion into the Chadian territory. This incident followed heavy fighting that began on Saturday, February 21st in the Sudanese border town of Tina. The clashes involved rapid support forces and the joint force allied with the regular Sudanese army. In Nigeria, a fire broke out late Monday afternoon at the Murtala Mohammed International Airport in Lagos, leaving 6 people injured and causing a temporary suspension of flights. Airport authorities stated that the fire started in the serve room located in the Terminal 1 departure hall. 3 women and 3 men were injured. All are in stable condition, though 1 victim is ongoing further medical tests. The fire also affected control tower operations, but it has since been brought under control and flight traffic has resumed. Out of the African continent, a massive winter storm paralyzed the northeastern United States between Sunday night and Monday, February 23rd. The storm left nearly 40 million Americans under alert and hundreds of thousands of homes without power. Schools were closed and driving was prohibited in several areas as the weather brought daily lives to a standstill. In some locations, snowfall reached about 90 centimeters, specifically at the Provence airports in Rhode Island.
Thanks, Lord. That does it for the first part of the news, viewers. Let's move on to talking points. Welcome back, viewers. Our guest tonight is Dr. Joan ENJEMA. Thank you so much, Doctor, for accepting to be our guest today. You are a mental health specialist and also a wellness coach. Now, recently we have had a lot of bloodshed in amorous affairs or relationships, be they in marriage or concubinage. The most recent happened in Douala, precisely at KCCC. We just watched in the news a while ago where a man killed his partner or ex-partner. He was almost beaten to death by an angry mob. We had this other case in Kribi, another man who shot his wife to death. That was yesterday, and the cases abound. There have been many of them. Dr. ENJEMA Joan, how can we explain that a man or woman who some years back you or someone could not live without, professed endless love for, suddenly becomes an enemy to the extent of thinking of killing that partner?
Annabelle, thank you so much for having me on the show. Unfortunately, what has happened or what we have witnessed is it's very painful and tragic. But I would like to emphasize that it's not something that happens suddenly. It's not something that's uncommon. Most times, these are things that have built up over a period of time. And when two people, for example, fall in love, you know, they become emotionally attached, they plan together, they dream together. But again, when this relationship turns out to be unhealthy, you see things like insults, cheating, fighting, you know, and quarreling, constant quarreling in this relationship. And you'd realize that this love that someone once had, you know, can slowly turn into rage, bitterness, and anger. So the truth is that many times these things, people don't just wake up and kill others. They might have unresolved traumas or past histories of mental health problems such as depression, anxiety, or they've been under repeated abuse where the partner is constantly cheating on them, or there's a lot of unforgiveness because of the things that someone has said. The person just chooses to close up, or insults even start coming in. All these things become accumulated over a period of time. And once it reaches a certain threshold and the person can no longer take it, become accumulated over a period of time. And once it reaches a certain threshold and the person can no longer take it, then they are prone to explode. So we need to watch out for things as such.
Thank you, Dr. Joan. Now, is there any signals to identify a toxic partner or some dangerous character traits? What are some of those signs of toxicity in an amorous affair? And when should the oppressed be able to run for his or her life?
Yes, there are almost always warning signs, and the list is non-exhaustive. However, I'm just going to focus on 5. The first is extreme jealousy that disguises into love, controlling behaviors. The second is controlling behaviors where a partner checks the phone constantly, prevents you from seeing your friends and family, just wants to isolate you in the house and all. The third is extreme anger, where the partner hits and breaks things during a heated argument. Just know that one day those objects that they are breaking will be you that they would use as those objects in the future. So you need to pay attention or watch out. The fourth aspect is threats, where the partner can say things like, you belong, if you leave me, I'll deal with you, or if you leave me, I'll die. Those kind of things, you know, you need to watch out for them. And the fifth aspect is possessiveness, where the person says things like, you belong to me. You need to watch out for those signs. And when you need to prioritize your safety is where you start experiencing or seeing things like death threats, during arguments, they start strangulating you or choking you, you know. The third aspect is when you start hearing things like, I'm going to kill you, or you don't take those kind of threats lightly. And the last aspect is when the problem or the fights become escalated, where you see that they start involving other people, families and friends, you know. You need to watch out.
And now, Dr. Joan, how can we link all these violent attitudes among couples to our mental health? When we talk of mental health, what are we looking at? And how should people take proper care of their mental sanity, especially couples?
So one way to link this violence among couples to our mental health is first to be able to identify unresolved childhood traumas. If the partner is going through depression and anxiety at the moment, you know, it's our responsibility to do those researches before you choose to settle with someone. Many times when emotions are involved, people no longer pay attention to what has been ongoing in this particular family. What patterns do they have when it comes to anger management? What patterns do they have when it comes to mental health problems, depressions, and all of those? Those are things you need to search. And once you identify them, you choose whether you want to move forward or not, or you seek professional help. One thing about mental health is that it's not just about madness. We need to know that there are common mental health problems that we face in our day-to-day activities, such as depression, anxiety, stress, you know, substance abuse that is very rampant, especially in our society now, especially among youths. You know, these are things we need to pay attention to. And lastly, things couples can do to be able to resolve or walk through these patterns or challenge is, one, you need to speak openly, seek for help, either to your spouse or to a trusted friend. Think about those times where you guys spend together during dating and try to bring them back into your marriages or your relationships. If you see that it is really tough and you cannot handle it, you know, having those exchanges, then you can seek for help through professional help or spiritual help, where you can do therapy sessions or, you know, seek pastoral care help for those that are Christians.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joan ENJEMA, for accepting to be our guest, and hope to have you some other time just to let our viewers or remind them that you're a mental health specialist and also a wellness coach. Thank you again for opening your doors to Equinoxe Television. And viewers, that does it for this edition of the news. Thank you so much for being with us.